So man, what's going on, y'all? I can honestly say I never thought I'd start up a podcast like again, but I kind of just found myself, you know, last week just kind of getting caught up in a lot of comparison, and I personally didn't enjoy it myself, I think it's like a treacherous pattern that you might not even realize is happening. You're paying attention to different art, different videos, and things like that, and then before you know it, you're kind of like looking at something and thinking to yourself like, I'm not really feeling that. That's not me. That's them. You know, you might be scrolling down some type of feed, and before you know it, you're telling yourself that you wouldn't thumbs up that, or you wouldn't heart that, and it's this state of liking and not liking that is constantly judging something that I found it to subconsciously put me in a place of comparison and judging, and that's something that I'm really not about doing. I really try my best to embrace the art that everybody else is doing, but I realize I was speaking to a friend of mine this morning, and he was telling me that we all do that. We all get caught up in that, and I thought to myself like, man, nah, I don't get caught up in that. I don't do that. I don't compare myself. I don't do that. I just look at a lot of art and things, and sometimes you say that you do things, you say that you don't do things on a whim of being not a whim, but just you're trying to like prophetically or project the future that you want to live in. And I realized in that moment that like, man, I'm doing this now. I didn't mean to be doing this, but I'm doing this now. And he told me that the way that he stays out of comparison is by pretty much making sure that he's not taking in any art that would be something that he would do. Very similar to what my wife would say. Shanoa would tell you that she, while she's a poet and while she's an author, she doesn't take in much poetry. She doesn't follow many poets, because that constant knowledge, that constant exposure lends you to think about your art in a certain type of way, because you're constantly seeing somebody else's stuff that's in that same kind of creative space. And man, I never thought that this type of mindset could touch me, could get close to me, could be some way that I carry myself, because Patrick Gregory Daniels doesn't do that. Patrick Gregory Daniels is a unique, special, set-aside person by God that certain things don't happen to. And it started to happen, and I found myself in this place trying to figure out how to be a better artist with a better mindset. And the way that I've been able to start working with it as of recently has been, unfortunately, I want to support all of my friends that are artists and things like that, but some of us make things that are similar, and we're in similar genres, and people I've come up with in school, that are doing things and doing work. I can look at that work, and all of a sudden it feels like I'm thinking to myself like, man, they're this far in their career and I'm right here. And it took me honing in, reeling it in, and really thinking about, being grateful. I had to be grateful for where I am in my life, be grateful for everything that I have, be grateful for a wife that's beyond supportive of what I do and makes what I do, very peaceful and a joy. People oftentimes say that there's no worse prison than a home that has no peace. Or or sometimes people compare analogies and state analogies that have to do with your mindset and your brain when it comes to those types of things. And I got so much to be thankful for. So much to be thankful for that, I haven't a complaint in the world and shouldn't have a complaint in the world. But, the state of the matter is that people that have gotten to a certain level inevitably have to start to conceptualize their lifestyle when they're going from the level where they've been to the next level that they're going to. T.D. Jakes talks about it as kind of like graduating from school. You're constantly in this state of going from a 9 or a 10 to a 0 again, or a 1 all over again. When you're 19, you're about to go into your 20s and you're fresh, you're brand new. You gotta be, as if you know nothing, and not know nothing, but this is a new place. And so I'm trying to figure out in this moment in life where I know that I'm not an accident, and I know that, God has got a purpose for me, and that I'm on purpose. And, I remember Pastor Moment over at Victory World Church this past Sunday, we're talking about your new north. The North Star is a guiding star that people use in order to go in a certain direction in life to find their way back. And we're working on understanding your new north, understanding that you are on purpose, but you're also with a purpose, but also understanding that your purpose and being on purpose is a posture. It's a way of carrying yourself, a way of being, a way of assimilation, if you will, to where you can be in this state of understanding that, you're not behind, you're not left, you're not stepped over, you're not forgotten, and that, instead of being in this state of, God, I don't want to be here, be in this state of, God, why am I here? So that I can, what is it that you have for me to learn here from this place? And so I'm beginning to be more mindful again, because, even though you've once been a certain way in life doesn't mean that, you won't one day have to think about things in a different type of way that you've never had to think about them before. If you were never ever jealous in life, doesn't mean you won't ever have to deal with jealousy. I definitely believe and I feel that things that we're learning and things that we're going through and brought through so that we continue through them and actually get through them so that they'll be behind us will forever be a state of something that we'll have the opportunity to share with one another if we, come to not be so selfish anymore and try to find the time to be, of service to other people. I find myself revisiting Be the Answer. It's a really great book that Pastor Moment wrote, and it talks about, remembering and learning the stature and the posture that it takes to be a servant leader, which means bringing honor to actually being in second place. There's so many times now in life that, it's about being your own boss. It's about being in charge. It's about being the head of your company, your brand. But there's a lot of times in life where your position is not being the boss and being the head, and there's some times where you can't make any progress in life unless you are the person that understands that at times I need to make sure that I'm being of help to other people, but yeah, that's just kind of what's been going on. I had a really great time yesterday. Been still filming a lot. There was a state where a couple of days ago, I didn't feel like making any music. I didn't feel like doing what I claim to love to do. And, excuse me. And, I remember we got my wife and I got chiropractic adjustments over with Dr. Naeem over at Elevate and Roswell, and there was I had like this pain in my hip, and it was hurting, and then all of a sudden the pain in my hip started working its way down to my left knee, and it was really crazy. And I got the chiropractic adjustment, from Dr. Naima, and after that, I started to get on the bike down at the gym. I started to ride the aerobic bike, and I'm starting to feel my legs are starting to be stronger. I'm starting to feel better. I'm starting to feel healthier. I'm starting to feel, like I want to do what I love to do instead of like trying to push myself to want to be able to do it. You know what I mean? I feel like wanting to make music. I feel like wanting to film. I feel like wanting to understand, these pieces of my life that God has given to me to be able to experience, but not only to be able to experience for myself, but to be able to share with others, because, the more you push things out there and you produce things and you publish things, it gives others an opportunity to know that like what you're going through isn't only them by themselves. People say it all the time about, wanting to help and wanting to let other people know that you're not the only one going through this. I think we have to, I don't want to even say what we have to do, but I'm always thinking about how to take things a step further than what's currently going on, which will begin to stop, honestly, as I continue to understand more what I'm going through and not, subscribe to so much of worldly ways and be so aware of what's going on in worldly ways, because, those things, like I was saying before, were leading to more and more comparison, and I didn't even realize it was happening. So, give me just 1 second. I'll be back, y'all. I'm making some rice in there because we had some Jamaican food yesterday up in Athens at Kelly's Jamaican restaurant. And oh my God, it was so hot that like I'm trying to re-season it and kind of make more rice so that the seasoning can spread out and kind of have more space to be. Hopefully I can get that seasoning to kind of spread out and I can like saturate it down and kind of not get rid of it, but just kind of spread it out some, so that my wife gets home, she can have some as well, and I can have some after my workout. But I'll be right back. All right, so yeah, I'm back now, but basically, man, it's just been a lot going on. I've dipped back into the fashion, and I'm really happy about that. You might not know, but I definitely enjoy sewing quite a bit. So there's been some pieces and different things I've been, working on, getting back into sewing with one of my colleagues, Mike C. And Muri on Instagram. I am you, you are I. Is his Instagram. We've been talking about a lot of different pieces and sourcing pieces and shopping pieces and that different type of thing. It's kind of reminds me of our we're kind of like a Virgil Abloh and like Kanye West. We talk about the clothing and we're involved in multimedia, different things. I'm definitely receiving some creative direction and training from him right now at this moment. And so, yeah, we've just been talking about a lot of different pieces and different things. And, you can see those on my Instagram and stuff. I've been sharing and doing some of those outfit of the day type things. And so that's been really cool and fun from my perspective of like the way I deal with, the body. The body is it's a canvas, for the heart. It's a canvas. It's the voice, of the heart, is the way I look at it. The body's the canvas, and you get an opportunity to speak, the way you feel and speak all these different types of things. So I'm currently on this journey to like rocking all black, in my own kind of way. Definitely was inspired by, what Kanye was doing with his clothing and different things like that. It definitely spoke to me, but I've seen those aesthetics make me feel ways prior to him. So I wouldn't give him 100% of the credit on why I'm journeying into that realm. It's just that I've noticed, the way an individual is able to speak and articulate and speak one's thoughts when you can't necessarily see brands on them. You see the individual, you know what I mean? And that's a place that I desire to be. I desire to not necessarily be perceived by others, but to be on a journey to articulate and speak from my own self, and be able to perceive and feel about myself a way that I want to feel about myself. So that's another thing that's been kind of going on. I'm looking forward to doing some pieces and stuff. And I'm really happy to, to get to take the time to sit down and, really speak to you all, or whoever's out there, about all of this, because there's so many times in life when I think about how, I just really, really, really want to speak to a friend that would, I feel like only this friend would understand this thing. And so, for me right now, this is me getting an opportunity to, speak my thoughts, speak what I'm dealing with, and, for lack of better phrases or sentences, now people would call it a podcast, to like do something like this. But to me, I really just kind of feel like I'm talking to God out loud. You know what I mean? Because there's a high propensity or potential or, some sense of ambiguity out there in the world when, you maybe share this thing and you put it out, and then you don't really, you don't really know who sees it. You don't know who you're talking to. You know what I mean? You don't know who's feeling some type of way. You don't know who's getting anything out of it. So I think, the best way for me to try to process this as, I'm currently, just talking to God out loud is, for me to do this unto and do this for God and do this for, my family and, tertiary, would be, for other people that it might be able to have an ability to impact. But, you never know who that is. So I just think it's really safe and smart, to protect your own heart and do things, unto God and do them for yourself, because, you don't know who you're going to be helping out, and so allow God and allow your immediate community to show you who's tuned in, if you will, but other than that, I kind of what else did I do? I did today. I kind of man, it's crazy. The idea of long form content just popped into my mind, and I was just thinking about, like the world. And it's funny, the Bible's got a scripture that talks about, being in the world, but not being of the world, and being thereby transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so when I think about that right now, that just popped into my mind, I was initially thinking like, I don't even know who else out there is like trying to, even take in any long form content anymore, because every single platform we pretty much have is really showing us, that people don't have patience. People are only ready for 10 seconds, and people only want to scroll for 3 seconds, and you can only give them this much or whatever. But like, man, we trying to be transformed, man. Like, I'm not about to keep changing myself up and changing the way I'm gonna be in this place in order that I can be palatable and tasty to others. You know what I mean? Like, no knocks to Kelly's Jamaican food. You know what I mean? I love him, man. He's a great guy. You don't see him changing up all his seasonings and, making, watering down all his Jamaican food in order that it might be more palatable, comes across as like this phrase that I often say that people do in the world sometimes is they make things and they become racially ambiguous. You know, you eat food and it's like super plain. It's like everything is mild. You ask for spicy and it's mild. You ask for, you know, I don't know, you know, it's like my wife likes, like, you know, if we're cooking on the grill, she likes the, you know, she likes the black marks on there, like the grill lines and all that good stuff. But so many people don't do that. You know what I mean? You go to, you know, pull over to Quick Trip or something like that and you get a hot dog, and I'm not knocking Quick Trip, I'm not knocking anybody. Pretty much anybody that does hot dogs as a restaurant does this. It's just smooth old hot dog, whatever, ain't got no grill marks, you know. Burgers are just brown, they don't have any flame broiled lines on it. You know, it look like that on the commercials, but it ain't like that in real life, you know what I mean? And, you know, that's why everybody is like, you know, you watch this barbecue time, everybody is like, yo, who's barbecuing? Like, let me pull up and get some of that barbecue, you know what I mean? Because like barbecue alludes to the fact that it's sitting on the grill and that thing's got character, you know what I mean? So the only way that we can all have character is by not chasing the assimilation of what these algorithms are saying that people like, because algorithms are only picking up on what like people that are watching are liking, you know what I mean? And like there's no way that you can classify what every single person in the world likes by artificial intelligence, when the artificial intelligence is like leaning to like these individual persons' likes, you know what I mean? And I don't mean to knock artificial intelligence, because it definitely has the ability to do a great job at honing in on what individuals like and what individuals want. But what I'm saying to you is that there's a lot of people that, for example, don't rock with the internet and don't rock with social media, and they're not really into that like that. You know, there's people that still, you know, there's people that are niche listeners that only listen to things on cassette tapes and they buy CDs and they only listen to vinyl records, you know. Or there's people that only listen to SoundCloud, or there's people out there that like I called up to Athens, Georgia early today. I Googled a bunch of sewing machine repair places because my manual sewing machine over there in the room, it needs to be worked on. But my sewing machine is like almost 100 years old. Like it was made in like late 1800 or like super early 1900. You know, it's 2022 right now. And so I found a photograph of a sewing company as I did performed a search online. And the search, there was a really, really older Caucasian guy, a white guy in the picture. And so I'm on the phone with this sewing company in Athens, Georgia, and the daughter of the gentleman, her name is Danielle. And so I was talking to her on the phone, and I was telling her, like, man, I owned a similar sewing machine a little while ago, and like I couldn't get it fixed, and I had to scour the internet for videos trying to figure out how to get this thing fixed, because every shop I went into in Atlanta, they only had new machines. You know, like these people are only focusing on new stuff. You know, it's kind of like when I think about California. You know, when my wife and I, we go to California, like there's like these very few places, these different what's the word? I'm thinking about a word that like an area, like a certain, not race, but like man, I can't think of the word right now. But anyways, like when I went to California, I remember that like their culture, and I can't blanket statement this around like the entire California, but there's so many places where they don't care about older cars no more, anymore. There's, you think about your thrift shops and stuff like that, and that's like so much on the rise now, where people are embracing thrifting and secondhand, clothing that's still of value and all of that. And people aren't just trashing things, they're preserving them. They like their old cars, they're fixing them, they're preserving the funk in the 70s and all of that good stuff. And I see so much, man, nowadays that people are like throwing away stuff and getting rid of this and not appreciating the old. I mean, just look at the fact that like America has so many doggone like senior homes. You know, there's other countries you can go into and they don't even have senior homes. Says the guy that doesn't have any stamps in his passport yet, right? That will be changed. Y'all watch me. You know what I mean? But anyway, like my point is just that I felt so good to be able to find a shop that pretty much specialized in older machines. You know what I mean? And I was so happy to hear about that. You know, granted, I wish I could knew how to adjust the tension and do the things that this sewing machine tech is gonna do to mine, and hopefully we can get it fixed, and hopefully I don't have to buy another sewing machine. But you know, that's kind of, you know, I guess the road that I was going down. You know, after talking about, you know, Mike and I, you know, being like Virgil Abloh and Kanye West, you know, with music and arts, and you know, just having our hands in so many multimedia different types of projects and stuff, you know, and man, it was just crazy. You know, I looked up and like, y'all see me wiping my eye. I hit my 30s, and all of a sudden I looked up and I had and it wasn't like the first one. I think I had like 4 or 5 of them since I'm 34. I had like a whole bunch of them, like just in my 30s, and they were calling them Calzions or whatever. And I don't know what it was, but it was like I remember Dr. Naeem was talking about sebaceous glands and oil glands, and maybe you have bigger glands in your eyelids or oil glands or something collecting. I was waking up and all of a sudden my eyelid was swelling up and stuff, and it was crazy. You know, as a black male, you know, heterosexual black male at that, people don't talk about how men want to feel pretty. You know what I'm saying? Like people say handsome, and that's all gravy. I get it. But what I'm trying to say is that like I noticed that like, you know, my eye was swelling up and I was starting to see changes, you know, in my body, and I was looking at myself and I was like, man, I don't feel beautiful right now. You know, I wasn't feeling like I looked good, or, you know, whatever the case was. And like that feeling, you know, sometimes we hear women talk about it, but and you know, we're quick to like joke around about it. Like, you know, they'll say, oh man, this is going on, or is my this fine, or is my this or that all right, or whatever the case may have been. And people are like so quick to like dismiss. Well, I'll let the audio run right now, but just so y'all know, the camera just like stopped. But people are so quick to dismiss, you know, when females do that, you know, when they say something's not acting right, or, you know, wanting to know that they're beautiful, or wanting to know that they're pretty, or wanting to know this, or wanting to know that. Dudes care about that stuff too. But yeah, this was fun. Thanks for letting me share my thoughts, God, you know, because that's what I'm doing it. I'm doing it for God. I'm doing it, you know, for all those moments and those times when I want to call when I want to call my brother and my brother doesn't pick up the phone, or when I want to call my mom and my mom's not available. I want to call my dad and my dad can't pick up the phone, and when there's nobody there to talk to, and I want to talk about some ideas and some thoughts and things of that nature. This is me doing that. You know, I think about it as a journal, but people today in 2022 call them podcasts. They can call them whatever they want in the world, but I'm not in the world to be transformed. I'm not in the world to be conformed to the world. I'm here in the world to be transformed by the renewing of my own mind. So I appreciate y'all chilling with me, whoever's out there. And I thank you, God, for listening. Peace.